This is TWiT.
Wall Street Journal, big article about the super app. And, of course, they're thinking about Line, WeChat, Weibo, the apps that in Japan and China are, do everything for you. The headline from Christopher Mims, what the heck is a super app and why are Elon Musk, Evan Spiegel, and Jack Dorsey so interested? Tell us, Amy, because you've got an intimate experience with this, what these apps do, why they're so popular in Asia.
I think, from my point of view, I think it's one-stop shopping. So a lot of those apps you can make payments from, you can connect, you can shop, you can do all.
You could buy train tickets, right? I mean,
yeah, you can do all different types of things. And if it's a single interface, I mean, in a way, it's the same reason that Amazon digitally succeeded, right? It was just zero friction.
One-stop shop, yeah.
Right. So I think, on a lot of these apps, you can perform multiple functions. You don't have to keep switching in and out of things. You don't have to remember different passwords. It's just easier, I think.
When he was talking to Twitter employees, Elon Musk said he wanted to turn Twitter into a WeChat-like super app. Evan Spiegel, CEO of Snap, has called Elon's ideas, compelling. In May, Block, of course, Jack Dorsey's company, Nick Molnar told investors the company plans to turn the combination of its Cash App and Afterpay Buy Now, Pay Later service into a super app. PayPal said they're going to make a super app. But I have to say, I don't think Americans want a super app. What do you think, Connie? Do we want one app that does it all?
I don't want to interrupt Amy, so let her
finish, Amy, and then you, Connie. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I absolutely think people want this. I think the problem is market consolidation. I mean, it goes back to like Windows Internet Explorer territory, but the average person making life easier for them, absolutely they want it.
I agree with that, except people want things easier until they find out that it's not good for them, right? Like there's a reason that people use PayPal to pay for purchases across sites because they don't want to log in and give their credit card data. So they definitely want the ease of use. The question that, we face here in the US, because you have so many brands now that have become brands and have built these massive platforms, is who do you trust that you want to work with? Amazon built trust in the early days, to your point, Leo, because of not just one place to do it, but because they had that one-click purchase. Do you remember that?
That was brilliant. They owned it.
For many years, right? Yeah. Like it just... friction-free shopping. So this idea of managing your life and doing a lot of different things, in a friction-free way is great. But then the downside is, do you trust these companies? Do you trust Evan Spiegel or Uber or Elon Musk with all of your purchase history and your data? And we were just talking about when it comes to your healthcare, if they turn over your location data to a state that, threatens them. So it's complicated.
It is.
On the one hand,
and that's my point.
Utility is good.
It's too complicated. It makes it hard to use, right? If it does everything, I mean, then it's. What do you think? You look at consumer tech all the time, Dwight. Do you think Americans anyway are interested in one app that does everything?
I don't know. They've not seen one app that does everything.
Had it. Yeah.
There are a couple of companies that have made noises that that's what they'd want to do outside of what, you mentioned. Facebook obviously is kind of trying to make its app, and along with Messenger and WhatsApp, a Swiss Army knife. They've got a shopping component, they have a messaging component, but it's so diffused throughout the app, and people, I think, go to Facebook for primarily to connect with other people. I don't know that Facebook does it. Apple is kind of quietly building that into iMessage. Some of the features that are coming in iOS 16 kind of have a whiff of that, and they've been, one of the things that they did, I don't think anybody's really taken that much advantage of it, is that they opened iMessage up to companies who wanted to do tech support and other kinds of support through it, and I don't think a lot of companies took advantage of that. So they've played with it a little bit, but to me, I think a lot of Americans think they want the right tool for the job, and that may not be a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, I mean, I come from the good old days, the Unix background, where you had one thing that did one little thing, and all you did is had affordances that would allow you to pipe that simple app into another app, into another app, and another app, and kind of build your own super app for one time only. What about the argument that Apple already is the super app, that it's the iPhone? And to your point, Amy, we trust Apple with our privacy. Apple's certainly trying to make it even stronger with application tracking, transparency, and all of those switches. It seems like Apple could do this. Put pay, they've got Apple Pay. Put Apple Pay in every app. Apple could be the back end for it. In a way, that's what your iPhone is, isn't it?
Well, I don't have an iPhone anymore.
Oh, that's right. You're not an iPhone user. You have no idea. Android is not
I have
that.
I have other products.
Android is too heterogeneous. Right. It's just a mishmash of stuff.
Right. I think the better way to think about this is open versus closed ecosystems. Apple has so Mac OS, that's what it's called for the mobile devices still, right? Is everything is Mac OS now, right?
Yes.
No.
iOS.
Well, no, it's Mac OS for the desktop.
Oh, it's the other way
I mean,
around.
iOS.
Each thing, there's
iOS.
watchOS, tvOS, Mac OS,
Okay,
iOS,
okay.
and iPad OS.
Okay.
Everything is, but you're right. Underneath, it's all Mac OS.
It's a closed ecosystem, I think, is the difference. So, Apple doesn't always play nicely with third parties. So I think that they are. I would say that what my observation is that Apple is moving more toward making that XOS more closed and more like a super app, at least in terms of its overall offerings. But there is still a core difference. If you're on WeChat, which nobody in the United States is going to be on because it's hard to get an account and you have to speak Chinese.
Have you used it? Did
WeChat,
you use it when you were in China?
I have, yeah. Yeah, I mean, my living there predates me, but yes, I have.
Yeah.
And Line, which is a Japanese social media app, which has way less functionality. The place to really look at is China, not Japan or
Some
Korea.
say it's because, certainly this is true in Japan, people had smartphones before they had PCs.
Oh, well, we had something called a Peachy.
I've heard you talk about this before.
Somewhere.
Do you have your Peachy?
I do have my
Look for your
Peachy.
Peachy.
Let me see if I
Not the
can find
Peachy
it.
we had in high school with 2 E's.
No, it actually stood for something and I don't remember. The acronym was Peachy and I don't remember what it stands for now. But it was a smartphone. It didn't have a GUI interface, but it did have like a file tree interface that you moved around with a little tiny mouse.
Right. It was a little
buy
PC.
Shinkansen tickets on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's somewhere over here.
I have a picture of one I guess I can show. Here's a young girl in the Harajuku district with her Peachy in 2008.
Mine was even smaller than that. Mine
Really?
was like a large thumb drive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so small.
And there were competing interfaces and competing software and systems. And basically this was like it was like a pretty smart phone at the time that I had it. This was like 1998. So this is going back pretty far.
Before Android, before iOS, this was when Nokia flip phones were ascendant in the U.S. But yeah, I think that some of that might have also been why Line and WeChat were so big, because you had to do everything on a small device, right? You didn't have a computer at home.
Well, also, Japan, there's not a lot of English in Japan, so they kind of built their own ecosystem and Line, which I use because I've got friends in Japan. I can't stand. I don't like the interface. I don't understand the stickers, But I think it's an acknowledgement that it would make sense that there's kind of a diaspora of how, connectivity spread and what makes sense in different countries. But the payment part of WeChat and I think is sort of the killer function. It's easy. Everything is integrated. You don't have to click out. The messaging part almost is secondary.
Yeah. I don't want one big monolithic app, but I think if you've got a back end like Apple Pay and face recognition that every app supports, then each app on your iPhone is a part of a larger ecosystem, That's kind of a super app. So in other words, I think the smartphone is the super app in the U.S. Maybe not. I don't know. Connie, have you ever used WeChat or Line?
I haven't, but I think Amy's point about closed systems is right. I mean, that's the appeal of Apple to people who are not tech savvy,
Right.
is that you don't have to be a
You
tech
trust them.
expert. You just log on, everything works together, and for a long time you didn't have to worry about even viruses and the like. So there's definitely appeal to having that closed ecosystem because it handles a lot of things for you until something goes wrong. And then that's when the question
Or until your period tracking app starts selling your information to the Texas Rangers. And then
I don't see that as, I don't know. I don't see any of these apps willingly. Do you remember the San Bernardino shooting
Yes.
that happened and,
Yes,
and
the
Apple
FBI
and
demanded.
the FBI kind of
Yeah.
got into it?
Yeah.
Right. I just don't, that I see more of that happening. I don't see companies trying to earn a quick cash by selling, ratting out women,
I hope not.
and their menstrual cycles. That doesn't make sense to me. I think
No.
it more becomes can a local authority compel a company to hand over that type of data?
Well, they may not have to because Google and other companies who have this data sell it to data brokers.
Yeah, data brokers.
And
Exactly.
and the investigators go to the data brokers
Right.
and buy it.
For
And so
$170.
they don't have to compel anybody.
Right. And that's the thing. It's leaky. It's a leaky system because of this data broker thing. And companies are happy to do that. We sell we provide your information to third parties in order to improve our services, like make a little money on the side.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in every agreement.